Hey guys, Josh from SoccerReviewsForYou.com, bringing you a comparison video today of the entire Adidas Predator Instinct lineup for 2014. This includes, of course, the top-end Instinct, which retails for $220 US. Below that, you have the Absolion Instinct, which retails for $120 US. And then below that, you have the Absolado Instinct, which retails for $75 US. In today's video, we're going to go over all the differences as far as tech specs and, of course, performance is concerned, and ultimately come to the conclusion as to which is the best of the bunch, which is the best value, which is the best performing, and which is going to be the best option for you personally if you were considering something from the new 2014 Predator lineup. So with that being said, let's get right into the video. To start things off, let's talk about the upper and the overall feel that each of these models has to provide. Now, with the top-end Instinct, you're going to get a base synthetic material made from hybrid touch. You can see it's relatively thin, but it still has a nice padded sensation about it. But my personal favorite aspect about it is that it's extremely soft, very, very flexible, and just provides a very comfortable fit and feel on your foot. On top of that hybrid touch synthetic base layer, you have your rubberized lethal zones that are scattered across the entire upper. You can see them here on the lateral side. It spans the entire forefoot and toe box area, and then you have it in the main striking area on your foot as well. Essentially what these rubberized lethal zones do is they are positioned strategically to provide a lot of additional grip on the ball depending on what part of your foot is making contact with the ball. So it's a very unique type of feel that you really can't get from any other shoe out there right now, and it does take some getting used to if you haven't worn a Predator LZ model in the last couple of years. But once you get used to it, having all that additional grip really does make for a nice controlled sensation. And I don't want that to come across as this shoe will improve your control, it'll help your touch, it'll make your shot more accurate, your passes more accurate. That's not the case at all. But the feel that it has to offer, because you get all that extra grip on the ball, like I said, is extremely unique and really the attractive feature when it comes to what would make you want to buy the Predator Instinct in the first place. I'm a big fan of it, and I don't normally like having a lot of extra grip, but like I said, once I get used to using these, I really find that I miss the grip when I switch back to anything else. So again, if you're looking for that unique extra grippy sensation on the ball, the Predator Instinct is really the go-to model on the market right now. Nothing feels quite like it. And then of course you do have the gel pad here, which is a feature that is exclusive to the top-end Predator Instinct model. It's not super noticeable. It's kind of like a firmer, slightly spongy gel material that is kind of printed on top of the upper here on the medial side as a passing/control element. The hybrid touch synthetic as it is does have that slight cushion already, so it's not super noticeable. It doesn't provide any extra grip or anything like that. It's a lot more noticeable on the Crazy Light version of the Predator Instinct just because it has a thinner upper. But again, it's a nice little touch, but not something that's going to make or break your experience with this particular shoe. Moving on to the Absolion, it features an unnamed synthetic material that, as you guys can see, is noticeably thicker and certainly a lot cheaper feeling than what you're going to find from that top-end Predator model. The tongue is also a lot thicker and chunkier, and again, it just doesn't have that same premium vibe. With that said, the synthetic is still relatively soft and provides a decently comfortable feel on your foot, so can't complain about it too much, although, like I said, it's not as nice as what you're going to get on that top-end model. And then as far as the lethal zones are concerned, you can see they appear to be very similar. They're the exact same shape, and I would say just as aggressive as far as their stance and appearance is concerned. But to the touch, and this isn't something that I noticed until I actually wore the shoe and then held it side by side next to a standard pair of Predators, is that the rubber on the top-end Instinct is much softer, more flexible, and abrasive in comparison to the rubber on the Absolion model, which is more of a harder plastic as opposed to soft, sticky rubber. So because of that, you still get that sensation of extra grip on the ball, but certainly not to the same extreme as what you get from that top-end Predator model. So again, if you want the ultimate extra grip on the ball experience, the Predator Instinct is definitely the way to go, whereas the Absolion is definitely going to feel similar, but certainly not as good as what you're going to get from that top-end model. So no major surprises there. As far as the Absolado model is concerned, again, you're getting an unnamed synthetic leather material that's even thicker than what you find on the Absolion, along with that very chunky tongue. So it does have a clunkier feel on feet. The shape doesn't seem to be quite the same either in comparison to the two top-end models, but we'll talk about that later in the video. And then as far as the lethal zones are concerned, you can see that these are significantly lower profile. And again, they're made from more of a plasticky type of material as opposed to rubber. It does have some extra grip to the touch, but in comparison to the other models above it, it really is nowhere near the same as far as the feel that it provides. So again, this isn't really going to provide that true Predator experience, at least in comparison to what you get from the top-end Predator Instinct. But of course, it does have the look and will feel somewhat grippy on the ball, and that's really the best way to describe it. So this is definitely the best of the best. This one is going to be a little bit less grippy and a little bit more chunky, whereas this one's going to be a lot more chunky and a lot less grippy as well, if that makes any sense. Next, let's talk about the sole plate and stud pattern that each of these shoes has to offer. Now, starting off with that top-end Instinct model, it features the most visually premium looking sole plate, but in terms of feel and performance, it's not too far off from what you're going to get from the takedown models. It is dubbed the control frame by Adidas, so they've kind of gotten away from the lightweight sprint frame construction that we've seen on the Adi Power Predator, the LZ1, as well as the LZ2. So for that reason, this shoe or any of these models are not as lightweight as previous Predators in the last couple of years. More on that in just a second. But the sole plate is made from a thicker TPU plastic material. It's nice and flexible, provides a good solid base under your feet, and it's just very, very comfortable overall. So no major complaints there. You do have this unique looking kind of ridge design going around the edges of the forefoot and toe box area on the sole plate. That's featured on all three models. It's kind of there implied as somewhat of a control element. In all honesty, it's not something you're going to notice while you're wearing the shoe. And again, no shoe, whether it's a Predator or any other model, is going to improve your ability to control the ball. So please keep that in mind. And as far as the stud pattern is concerned, it's more or less unchanged from what we got from the LZ1 and 2, featuring that triangular stud pattern. It's not my personal favorite stud pattern to use, and I honestly wish they would have gone with more of a bladed stud pattern like we used to see on the Predator line. But again, it does perform the part. It's decent traction, decent maneuverability when planted, and I can't complain about it too much. It gets the job done, even though it's not my personal favorite. And in terms of what you're going to find on the takedown models, it's pretty much identical as well. If you've worn an Adidas shoe, especially in the last couple of years, you've probably used a stud pattern that is exactly the same, or at least somewhat similar to these. So if you've enjoyed that stud pattern in the past, then you're still going to like it on the top end Predator Instinct. And if you absolutely must have a different stud pattern on the top end model, there's a Crazy Light version of the Predator Instinct that features the bladed stud pattern from the F50 Adi Zeros, which I personally prefer. So again, if you want a lighter version of the Predator and a bladed stud pattern, then the Crazy Light model is probably something to consider. Moving on to the Absolion, while it isn't as visually appealing as that top-end Predator model, the sole plate and overall feel and construction is pretty much identical. It's the same plastic material, same flexibility, same thickness, same stud pattern. So the overall performance definitely feels very, very similar between both of these two shoes. And then when you look at the Absolado, again, it's visually similar, but not quite the same. It's a thinner, kind of cheaper feeling plastic. Obviously the exact same stud pattern, so performance isn't going to differ too much in terms of traction. But like I said, it just doesn't feel quite as premium as what you're going to get with those higher end models, which shouldn't be too much of a surprise. So again, as far as traction and the stud pattern and the sole plate is concerned, all of these shoes are going to perform very, very similarly to each other. I wouldn't say that one stands out as the best of the best in terms of overall performance in the traction regard. But of course, the best one I definitely do think is the Predator Instinct, just in terms of how it feels. But you're not really missing out on too much if you're buying the takedown models, at least when you're talking about traction. Like I mentioned earlier, the Predator Instinct is not as light as what we got from the last couple of Predator models. So in terms of the weight variation between the top end model and the lower end models, it's not going to be as distinct of a difference because the construction, especially in the sole plate and stud pattern, where a lot of the weight of the shoe actually is very similar when you're comparing the top end shoe to even the lowest takedown model. So I'm going to weigh all three versions of the shoe for you today in real time, just so we can see exactly what the differences are. Keep in mind these are all in brand new condition and all a size 9 US. We'll start off with the top end Predator Instinct, throw it on the scale, and you can see that they weigh in at 9.6 ounces. So it's not a heavy shoe, but it certainly isn't in the same 8-ounce weight range that we saw with the LZ1 as well as the LZ2. So we'll take that off the scale. We'll throw on the Absolion model, and you can see that these guys weigh in at 9.9 ounces, so 0.3 ounces more than the top end Instinct, which honestly isn't something that you're going to notice too much both in hand or on feet. Take that off the scale and we'll throw on the Absolado model, and you can see that they weigh in at 9.8 ounces, so they're 0.2 ounces more than the top-end Instinct model. So as you can see, there's very little difference between all three of these shoes. You're talking about 0.3 ounces of weight as a difference between the top-end and the low-end model, which is pretty insignificant if you ask me. Again, if you absolutely must have a lighter version of the shoe, then the crazy light version of the Predator Instinct is definitely the way to go. It's 3 ounces lighter than the standard Predator, which is very significant and very noticeable both in hand as well as on feet. And again, if you just want a lighter version of the shoe, the Crazy Light model is the way to go. Whereas if you want something that feels a little bit more solid, then the standard Predator Instinct is by no means a bad option and still a very, very good shoe. As far as fit is concerned, the top-end Predator Instinct, which I have here on my right foot in blue, feels really, really good from right out of the box. There's little to no break-in time required. After a couple hours of wear time, you will find that the Hybrid Touch synthetic upper will give just a little bit, stretching and just making for a more comfortable custom feel overall, but it won't give too much just based on how it fits from right out of the box. I really like the reverse Velcro heel liner on the top end Predator Instinct that you won't get on any of the takedown models. It does a good job of helping to lock your heel in place and just keep your foot secure on the inside of the shoe. And overall, it's just a very comfortable, solid feeling shoe on feet. No real complaints regarding the comfort whatsoever. As far as the Absolion is concerned, which I have right here on my left foot in black and white, it is a very comfortable shoe from right out of the box as well. In comparison to that top-end Predator Instinct, the overall shape is not too far off. But it definitely is noticeable that the synthetic material is not as soft, and just the overall clunkiness of the shoe versus that top-end Predator is very, very noticeable, especially in the tongue. I'm just not a big fan of these clunky tongues that Adidas puts on their takedown models. So again, not a bad shoe. You will also get a little bit of stretch out of the upper after a couple hours of wear time. But as far as comfort is concerned, I really don't have too many complaints with either of these two shoes. As far as width is concerned, they're going to be suitable for most foot types. If you have really, really wide feet, it may not be the best option for you, but like I said, they will fit most people. And as far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing my usual size 9 US in both the top-end Instinct and the takedown Absolion model, and the fit and the length is perfect. So if you are planning on ordering either of these two shoes, I would strongly recommend going true to size for the best possible fit. Alright, here's a look at, again, the Absolions now on my right foot in white and black, and the Absolado now on my left foot in red and black. Now the Absolado, in comparison to the Absolion and that top-end Instinct model, definitely feels different, not only because the synthetics just aren't as premium, but also because the shape also seems to be a little bit different. It's probably difficult to tell at this angle, maybe you guys can tell, but the forefoot and the toe box area seems to be a little bit more narrow on the higher end shoes, like the Absolion right here, in comparison to the Absolado, which is a little bit more rounded and wider in the toe box area and in the forefoot. So it doesn't have that same super tight fit against your foot, I guess is what I'm getting at here. It still fits well. The overall shape I have no issues with, but it isn't the same as what you're going to get from those higher end models, so please keep that in mind. Again, the synthetic material here isn't the greatest. It certainly doesn't feel premium. It doesn't feel bad, but again, there's nothing here to brag about or go crazy about as far as quality is concerned. And as far as the width goes, like I said, it's a little bit wider in the toe box and forefoot area. The midfoot, I would say, is the same. And again, as long as you don't have excessively wide feet, these should fit you quite nicely and quite comfortably. Also, as far as sizing is concerned, just like the higher end models, they run true to size. I'm wearing my usual size 9 US here, and the fit and the length is absolutely perfect. So if you're looking to order a pair, going true to size is what I would recommend. Alright guys, that's it for my review of the entire 2014 Adidas Predator Instinct lineup. My recommendations are as follows. If you're looking for the best of the best as far as performance is concerned, the top-end Instinct at the $220 retail price, of course you can always find them on sale, is definitely what you should consider. It really is the best of the best when it comes to fit, comfort, the overall quality of materials, and of course just overall performance. Nothing quite feels like the current Predator Instinct, and for that reason, it's one of my personal favorite shoes of 2014 so far. As far as the first takedown is concerned, the Absolion, at the full $120 retail price, I kind of view it as a tough sell. I think that $120 is a little bit too high considering the quality of shoe that you actually get. I know it shares a lot of the same elements that you'll find on the top-end Predator Instinct, but it just doesn't have quite quite the same feel. So for that reason, I wouldn't necessarily recommend the Absolion at full retail price. If you can find them on sale between $100 and $80, I guess it does become a little bit more desirable, a little bit more of an attractive option. But even so, when you're going to be spending $100 on a pair of budget shoes, take a look at all your options, see what's on sale. You can find older colorways or even past top-end models that used to retail for $200 on sale for $180, whatever it may be. I guess the Predator LZ2 comes to mind, the previous top-end Predator model. You can always find those for about the same price as it would cost you to buy a pair of Absolion Instincts. So for that reason, yes, it's an okay shoe, but please explore your options, see what's on sale, because you can probably get something better for your $120. As far as that Absolado Instinct model is concerned, at $75, it certainly isn't the most expensive shoe around, but even at that fairly low price tag, it's not really a shoe that I can recommend. If you find it on sale for dirt cheap, then I suppose it's a good option if you're really on an extreme budget, but as far as overall performance is concerned and quality, there aren't really any redeeming qualities to the Absolado Instinct. So for that reason alone, I would just take a look at anything else that you can find within that price range, because more likely than not, it's going to be a little bit better than what you're getting with the Absolado. It just isn't the greatest shoe. It's not bad, but like I said, there's nothing about that shoe that to me comes across as an attractive thing, unless of course you just want that Predator Instinct look, which in that case it obviously will deliver on that particular front. So that's pretty much it, guys. That is my comparison of the entire Predator lineup. If you have any questions or suggestions, leave those down below in the comment section, and I definitely will get an answer out to you. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. That would be greatly appreciated. If you want more info on any of the models that you saw in today's video, I'll leave links to the review pages, which are on my website, down below in the description of this video, so go ahead and check those out. If you want more info on the Predator Instinct, the Absolado, or of course the Absolion. If you guys aren't subscribed already, be sure to hit that subscribe button for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media info down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, thanks for watching.